The moment Sarah Whitman stumbled in the rain, her designer heels sinking into the puddles of the city sidewalk, she thought her day couldn't get any worse. Her blind date, a man she'd trusted with her heart, had turned out to be a liar, a cheat, and a coward. Alone and humiliated, she tried to hail a cab, but the city's chaos swallowed her cries. That's when she saw him. A man, his clothes worn, sleeves rolled up, mop in hand, eyes kind and steady, moving through the storm with an almost supernatural calm. In that instant, everything in her world changed. If this story inspires you, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, because if you believe in the power of kindness and second chances, this is the story that proves it. His name was Matthew Harris, a single dad working as a janitor at the towering glass offices of Whitman Enterprises in Chicago. Life hadn't been kind to him. After his wife died unexpectedly 5 years ago, he had poured all his energy into raising his young daughter, Sophie. The job at Whitman Enterprises didn't pay much, but it paid enough to keep a roof over their heads and food on the table. Matthew's days were long, his work often invisible, yet he never complained. He had his daughter to think of, and that was enough. On that stormy night, Sarah had slipped and fallen hard on the slick pavement. Matthew, finishing up his late-night cleaning rounds, had seen her. Without hesitation, he dropped his mop, rushed over, and helped her to her feet, sheltering her from the rain under his threadbare jacket. There was no recognition of who she was, no thought of reward, only the instinct to help someone in need. In those minutes, as her trembling fingers clutched his arm, she felt an overwhelming sense of safety she hadn't known in years. That simple act of compassion became the defining moment of their encounter, though Matthew had no idea who he was helping. The next morning, Matthew walked into work expecting another routine day. Instead, he was called into the manager's office. Confused and anxious, he found Mr. Lawson, a stern and bureaucratic man who didn't believe in explaining anything beyond what was strictly necessary. Matthew's heart sank as the words hit him. "We're letting you go," Lawson said flatly. Effective immediately. Shock paralyzed him. His hands shook as he collected his few belongings. The reason? Complaints from a client regarding conduct outside the building. There had been no investigation, no chance to defend himself. Matthew's mind raced. He had no money saved. How would he pay the bills? How would he explain to Sophie that their lives were about to collapse? The injustice burned, but he swallowed his pride, took his daughter in his arms that evening, and promised her that everything would be all right, even as he doubted it himself. Days turned into weeks. Matthew applied for jobs, but no one wanted to hire a janitor with a terminated record, regardless of the circumstances. He tried to stay strong for Sophie, reading her bedtime stories with a shaky voice, tucking her in at night, pretending to smile when his heart felt hollow. They made do with less, relying on the generosity of neighbors and old friends, but the strain was visible. Sophie noticed the worry in her father's eyes, the tightening of his jaw, the quiet moments where he seemed to carry the weight of the world. Meanwhile, Sarah Whitman's life went on in a haze of luxury and power, unaware that the man she owed her dignity to was fighting for survival. She couldn't forget him, though. His hands, strong yet gentle, his quiet courage, the way he didn't hesitate to help someone in distress, these images haunted her thoughts. Something about him felt unforgettable, essential, as if fate had quietly marked their paths to intersect for a reason. Weeks later, an unexpected email crossed Sarah's desk. A friend, knowing her taste for stories of human resilience, had sent her a video of a local news report, a single dad fighting to keep his daughter afloat after being wrongfully fired from his job. The name flashed on screen, Matthew Harris. Her heart lurched. Could it be the same man? She watched as Matthew spoke humbly, with quiet dignity, about the struggles of providing for Sophie and the injustice of his dismissal. Every word struck her like a bolt. She had to know the truth. Sarah acted immediately. Using her position as CEO of Whitman Enterprises, she requested an internal investigation into Matthew's termination. Within days, the evidence revealed a shocking truth. Matthew had been wrongfully accused based on a fabricated complaint designed to cover up negligence from another staff member. There had been no misbehavior. No misconduct. Only a kind man doing his job, and more importantly, helping someone in need. The day Sarah went to meet Matthew was cold and gray, the kind of day that mirrored his own past weeks. She found him outside the small apartment he shared with Sophie, helping her carry groceries inside. When she called his name, he froze, suspicion and fatigue lining his face. Recognition dawned slowly, his eyes widening as he connected the dots. Sarah introduced herself, her voice trembling slightly as she said, "I believe I owe you an apology, and a chance to make things right." Matthew was skeptical. Years of hardship had taught him to trust little. Yet, in her eyes, he saw sincerity, remorse, and the rare courage to admit a mistake. Sarah personally reinstated him, not just to his old position but with a promotion that reflected the integrity and character she had come to respect from afar. The company board was initially hesitant, but Sarah's insistence and the undeniable evidence forced their compliance. Matthew Harris, janitor and hero, had been vindicated. But it wasn't just about money or position. It was about dignity, about the recognition that kindness mattered, that courage and integrity could change lives. Matthew's heart, heavy with the trials of the past weeks, felt lighter than it had in months. Sophie danced around the apartment, laughing uncontrollably, hugging her father as tears streamed down their faces. They were safe. They were seen. And the invisible chains of fear and uncertainty had been broken. Sarah didn't stop there. She learned more about Matthew's life, the sleepless nights, the sacrifices, the small joys he clung to in raising Sophie alone, and she made a quiet vow to use her influence for good. She ensured that his story was shared within the company, inspiring employees to treat everyone, regardless of title or rank, with dignity. Matthew's quiet heroism became a lesson for all. Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness could ripple into the most profound changes. In the weeks that followed, Sarah and Matthew grew closer, bound not by wealth or status, but by the shared understanding of compassion, justice, and the power of one human being to change another's life. The city, with its cold streets and harsh realities, seemed warmer somehow, brighter, because two lives had intersected in a moment of genuine humanity. Matthew often reflected on that night in the rain. He thought about the vulnerability in Sarah's eyes, her silent plea for help, and how instinct had led him to act without hesitation. He realized that no matter the trials he faced, his choices defined him more than circumstances ever could. That night wasn't just a turning point for Sarah, it became the turning point for his life as well. And Sarah, once consumed by ambition and caution, discovered the extraordinary impact of empathy. She realized that power was not in titles or money, but in the courage to do what was right, to see others, to act. She carried that lesson forward, forever changed by the men she had once met in the rain. As Matthew settled into his new role, he never forgot the nights of struggle, the quiet despair, and the small moments of hope. He and Sophie thrived, bound by love and the unwavering faith that life, no matter how harsh, held unexpected blessings. And each time he passed the office window where Sarah's story began, he smiled, knowing that one act of kindness had rewritten their lives. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and comment below. Let us know how kindness and compassion have changed your life.